I am so excited. Let's do this. Hi, soul friend. I am so happy to be sitting with you again. You are not a broken, unfinished, incomplete project to be fixed. You existing is enough, and I'm here to prove it. Listen, I have spent my entire life chronically fixing and manipulating things about me to try to improve myself and to try to constantly level up. And it's only damaged my internal compass more and more. And I'm stepping into this new era, and it's past that threshold. Once you really start going inward and looking at yourself, you realize that we as we exist right now in complete wholeness is enough. And when we create from that baseline, the ceiling starts to shatter, and all of the illusions that we have and all of these limiting ideas and beliefs starts to break down. But first things first, hi, I'm Aisha. I am the host of this podcast, Monsoon Season. I'm a meditation teacher and a writer, and Monsoon Season is all about culture, consciousness, and the courage it takes to be seen. And I'm on a mission to help good-hearted people win and get out of their own way so that they can really truly step into their gifts and serve humanity. If you haven't already, take a moment to subscribe to the channel. I would love and appreciate if you would like and comment where you're listening from and one thing that resonates with you in this episode. I also have to be so for real. I am blown away by the kindness and the feedback that I've gotten on the last episode. I've been creating YouTube content for 15 years, and the last 2 years is when I started really getting consistent with the podcast, and there has not been a lot of movement, and it's been a lot of kind of talking to the to a black void. And there has been so many moments where I've doubted myself, and just seeing this episode after 2 years of being really consistent, just seeing the love from this episode that I just posted last week is blowing my socks. Like, you guys are incredible and so generous with your words, and I have been seeing some growth in the metrics in my subscribers and seeing new people join the newsletter, which is so exciting. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe to my Substack newsletter and just drop your email. I'll leave that in the description box. That's where I go deeper and build community, and I'm offering free guided meditations, and I do a weekly newsletter with deep dives and episode breakdowns and all of that. But I just really wanted to take a moment and say thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for just appreciating the work that I'm doing. And the thing that made me the most happy this last week wasn't even just the numbers growing, but truly what made me happy was reading the comments and hearing people say that they were going to act and take action after that episode and start putting their work out more or releasing music. And it's just like, that's what I want. I don't want to create another episode about how to improve yourself. This is the opposite of that. But what I want to remind you with the content and the work that I put into the world is returning to the truth of who you are and creating from that place. And to hear your stories mean everything to me. So thank you so much for engaging with my work and giving that video so much love. I appreciate it so much more than I can express. And it's a very emotional thing for me, because this has been a dream of mine to do this podcast, and I've been doing it for 3 years. and to finally kind of start growing the community in a really genuine way is a dream come true. So thank you so much for being here. Let's get into the episode. Whew. Y'all making me cry even before I'm dropping any of the wisdom. It means the world that you're here and that you're taking the time out of your life and all the things you could be doing to spend time together. Thank you so much for that. If we see ourselves as a problem in our mind, then we are only attracting more problems to us. Because as we know, like attracts like, and our mind is a mirror to our reality. And so if we think that we are broken, that we need to be fixed, so we need to be improved at all times, then people who are like that and situations, people who are also problems and need to be fixed and are incomplete will find us. So we gotta be real careful about how we perceive ourselves is how the world is created around us. So according to Tibetan Buddhism, our mind has 65 thought moments per finger snap. That is what I learned at meditation teacher training, and it always blows my mind that that's how much our mind is moving per snap. And our minds are monkeys. Our monkeys are running from one thought to the next. And it is such natural human behavior to go from problem to the next problem. So I wanted to kind of use a personal example just to call myself out. So about a week ago, I dropped in a group chat that I truly believed if I lost weight, that I would be unstoppable. And if I got in shape, that it would really be the thing that unlocks all of the stuckness that I was experiencing. I was so called out on it by my friend Maggie. Shout out Maggie, the wise Maggie. But she said to me, "Oh, no. You think that you're going to lose the weight and that's going to make you unstoppable. But what you're going to end up realizing is that another problem is going to arise." And it stopped me in my tracks because it's true. Anytime we are pursuing something, we are presented with that initial problem and we're like, you know what? After I get to this point, it's gonna be easy. And then you get humbled real quick. And it's so true. Like when you get to a certain place, whether it's trying to grow an audience or to start a business or to get to a certain amount of sales, it doesn't matter what it is, there is always going to be another problem that your mind starts to create. So what this has kind of unlocked for me is in my daily meditations now, I've been sitting with this idea that what if I have nothing to solve and nothing to fix about myself? Where does that leave me? And it has been so uncomfortable because I will just watch my mind want desperately to find the next thing, to hunt for the next thing to figure out, the next thing to resolve, the next thing to fix and tinker with. And oh, I should update the bio of this, and oh, this needs to start being more cohesive. And it's like my mind will go infinitely into the problem world. And we can train ourselves to not work in that way. So listen to me, my friend. There is a difference between building from a place of proving yourself and building from this knowing that you're building what's already yours. This is where we'll get really vulnerable. There was this really stunning interview that I saw between two of my favorite artists and creators, Jill Scott and Tyler the Creator. And there was this moment where Jill Scott stopped and looked over at Tyler and said, "You look loved." And I nearly just like passed out from swooning. When we are creating from a place of wholeness, we are creating from love. And it shows. It shows. Like, you will know just moving through the world who is loved and who is not loved. And you can experience that just sitting on a subway or on a bus or in a restaurant. You can just scan and energetically feel. There are certain people that just move with love, and that is where we want to be creating from. So my big question for you in this episode is, what would you create if you weren't trying to earn your place in the world? Ooh! What would you create if you were not trying to earn your place in the world? That one you gotta sit with, you gotta marinate for, overnight before you get into it. So let that settle, and let's kind of get into a little bit more of this. So the difference of creating from lack versus creating from wholeness is a difference that you can somatically even feel in your body. When you're creating from lack, there is a different texture to it. What I mean by that, and I'll give a couple of examples, is if you are posting and sharing and promoting something that you created, and you are constantly checking and refreshing and getting that dopamine hit of those followers growing. I was even experiencing this last week when I saw this video that, on my YouTube channel that started growing. I was starting to like obsessively look at the numbers, and I had to literally stop myself and say, like, okay, I'm only going to check once a day and I will give myself that. But when we are checking continuously and allowing ourselves to feed that impulse, we are feeding our fear and our not enoughness. So that's one example. When you're rewriting captions or like really like over finicking like any of your bios or your writing, if you're over massaging words, that's coming from a place of lack. And if you finish a creation or a project and you are not feeling relieved, you just feel exposed and raw, that is coming from a place of lack as well. That is lack. That is building from a wound. So, what does wholeness feel like? Wholeness feels so much slower. It feels like honey. It almost feels unreasonably calm. And you make something and it feels like it's complete even before you've shared it with anyone. And this wholeness is always reminding you that the making is the point. The making, the creation, the journey is the point, is the destination. And there is nothing beyond that. Everything else that comes after is extra, is decoration. So I want to offer you 5 tactical ways that we can return to a state of wholeness and create from that place. So the first one that I want to share with you is ask yourself one question before you create or you hit record. And this question is, who am I making this for? And if you answer earnestly, and the answer is you are trying to prove something, or you're trying to be taken seriously, or you're trying to get your engagement or your numbers up, then today is not the day to create. You got to go outside, touch some grass, touch some ass, whatever it is you need to do to ground yourself and to reconnect. Come back tomorrow, take a walk, take a breather. Do not create from that place, because whatever emerges from that will be coming from that seed of not enoughness. The second is to stop over consuming content. I was doing this, and I am guilty of doing this time and time again. Right now, I'm doing a 7-day challenge where I am not consuming any new social media content. So no podcasts, no YouTube videos, and no reading articles on Substack, no consuming anyone's content on Instagram or Shorts. Or I am just in creation mode this week. If you have better willpower than me, then more power to you. But for me, I do need to go through phases and seasons where I cut off the faucet of consuming cold turkey, because I just have an addictive personality sometimes, and I will go down rabbit holes and doom scroll and bed rot if I don't put these kind of stricter kind of things for myself. But yeah, the overall thing here is just stop over consuming content, because everything that you're creating is passing a vote in your mind and moving your mind into different thought patterns, into different ways that you're conscious and unconscious of. So to create from a place of truth and creating from a place of honesty requires us to listen to our own voice and to get back to the heart of where we are as creators. All right, the third one is very counterculture. This is not the norm, especially on YouTube and on podcasts. This is not what gets taught, but I'm really going against the grain here, and it's to separate the creation from the distribution. So many times people are thinking about, okay, what's the title? What is the release marketing going to be? What's the campaign? What's this, that? Like all the things that are related to distributing. Gosh, that is a hard word. Distributing the content, or, the idea or the offer out into the world. But what I want to counter is create what you want to create. And then you can worry about how you're going to market it, how you're going to message it, and how you're going to package it. To me, it really is really backwards how a lot of people are taught this in the online world. Is so many people are focused on the packaging and not about the gift in the package. And I think it's so much more important to focus on the gift and really focus on the craft and then worry about the packaging later. Like, just imagine your favorite artist. Like, imagine your favorite artist. I'm thinking about Prince. Like, he was not thinking about the album cover and like his tour dates before he was just making hit after hit after hit. He was just in the recording studio creating what he wanted to create with this pure sense of urgency of that creative process. It had nothing to do with how the world was going to be receiving his work. And we have to have those lanes and understand that when we're in creation mode, it is a sacred thing. Like, pretend like you're in the recording studio with Prince. Like, it is such a sacred place. And then once it's done, then you can worry about, okay, how I'm going to share this with the world. But I just love using artists as an example, because if they brought the way they market into the recording studio, like, you feel it. like you feel when they're not in that state of pure consciousness. The fourth one is one of the most important things that will help you not only on this journey, but in life. It's silence and stillness. So spending at least 20, 30 minutes of stillness, of silence, of prayer, of meditation, whatever floats your boat, but true focus on going inward. And the morning, if it's more your speed doing this at night, that's amazing. Know what works for you. But the morning and the state of our brain is so malleable. So it's so important to really tap in to our own inner frequency and look inward and see, what is my voice trying to tell me today, before we worry about all the other voices that are going to start penetrating our day and penetrating our phone and our notifications. What is my voice trying to whisper, trying to shout at me today? That is such an important space to create. I think that is where the creative process really begins. And also what I've noticed is when I meditate, I am creating from such a different vibration of my spirit. I feel so much more relaxed. I talk slower. I am so much more sure of myself when I have taken that time for stillness. So please just practice that and know that it takes a long time for that to feel yummy and feel really good, but that it's a practice that will always continue to reward you in so many ways. And like I mentioned earlier, I also do offer weekly guided meditations. I'm going to be doing live meditations starting in May. So if you're even interested in, maybe I should do them on YouTube, I don't know, but I am going to be doing them definitely over on Substack. So if getting into a daily meditation practice is something that is really interesting to you, or something that your intuition has been pulling you towards, I do offer that for free, and just drop your email in the description. The fifth is the hardest of all of them. It is, are you creating to be loved, or are you creating from love? So notice how different it is to create to be loved. It feels like you are having a transaction. If I was to create to be loved, you would feel it. You would feel this like underlining sensation of just like kind of like a repellent feeling of, oh, she wants something from me. She wants recognition or whatever it is from me. There's this feeling of transaction. And when you're creating from love, that is a frequency that attracts so many beings to you. You become magnetic. You become bigger than yourself and this vessel. Like you become this energy onto itself that is just of another world, because that's what love is. It transcends this body, this like reality. Like you, and I know that for a fact because just even think about people that you love that have passed away. Like they are no longer here, but when you think about them, you can feel their love still exist and still have this fragrance on you. And that is such a powerful, powerful place of wholeness to create from. Something I just want to say from my heart is, I have spent most of my life creating from a place of fear and creating from a place of proving myself. And I would not trade that for the world. It got me here. Like, that was my journey. Those were my boulders to bear on my back. And that was my karma to face this lifetime. And I have gone through so many cycles of trying to improve and fix myself and get better. And I got to a point where I was just exhausted and tired of being a problem to fix. I got sick and tired of being sick and tired. There comes a point where that way of being is not going to be serving you or anyone in your life. And we all know that success doesn't make us happy and fulfilled. I know this to be true because a lot of the people that I admire, that I've looked up to, people like Anthony Bourdain and the late and great Robin Williams, like, these people are beyond gifted and were living in the highest expression of their gifts and what they were meant to bring humanity. And they suffered so much on the inside. And we lost them way too soon. I say this all because we have to understand that getting what we want doesn't make us happy. Getting what we want and succeeding at our endeavor or pursuing what we think will make us happy and attaining that is not actually what brings us happiness. What truly feels fulfilling is having peace in our heart and creating from a state of peace and creating from a state of wholeness and enoughness, because that is what the world needs. That is what you need. That is what will shift and move people's hearts. And that's why we even create to begin with. The last thing I want to share with you is this little clip from Jill Scott herself reciting some words that I hope pierce your heart as much as it did me. I will see you on the next one. So much love, so much belief I have in you. Keep going, never stop.
There's a song where I say all my life I wanted to do good. I wanted to be good. I wanted to feel free of a history that made me cry and stump my stride. But I changed my mind. I doubled down on believing that the opinions of other people couldn't light my light, nor deter my sight, nor guide my light, or delay my flight. I'm flying high now, up above, on the clarity of love. I only get what I put into it. I spend my sweet time where I deem fit. I got one life, I'ma let my glow show. Baby, look at this, the embodiment of soul glow. I admit, paint my own pictures, gifts on gifts on gifts. Let the load lift, let the words shift. I ain't here to live in fear or just plain old exist. I'ma go ahead and be great. Why?